ServiceNow automation engine team. So we are recording this demonstration, this video, so we can highlight one of the use case for RPA in that for that particular customer. They were doing a POC, or they are doing a POCs in the risk management space. So they have some kind of risk application that they've created on the ServiceNow platform using our creator workflow and app engine capabilities. And so without going into too much detail of the use case, because I don't know how much I can share, basically they have a risk security analyst who are asked to perform certain verification and compliance check. And for that, they are using a lot of files where there is a check or verification task they need to perform. I'm not sure if I can open those documents to share publicly, so I'm not gonna do that. But that's kind of the idea. They're doing some risk assessment, and for this, they are manipulating a lot of files. At some point, when they're done with those control checks, they want to keep track of those different files, but they needed to merge those files in one document. On the ServiceNow platform, we didn't have the function to do this via Flow Designer directly, so we have a function in our RPA plugin that allows us to merge multiple files together. So basically, we use RPA just for that particular function in RPA. I should probably open RPA Desktop Design Studio to show how I have created that automation, and then I'll execute the flow and show you, maybe do a quick walk through the particular flow that we're using to do that. So that's my end-to-end automation that I've created. I'm using basically I'm using a few connectors, but I'm using the PDF connector, which provide the method to merge PDF together. I'm using the table connector because I'm listing a bunch of files. I'm getting a bunch of sysid for the attachment record I want to merge. And I'm using a table just to manipulate the data. It's just easier. So if I go here on my global object, I can show you what I'm using, the PDF connector there. So that shows the different methods available. It's kind of a new connector that we have in RPA 5.0. And I'm using only this merge function, which is used to, merge a list of PDF files together. So if I review my logic very quickly, I double click on my sub-activity there. I'm gonna zoom out. It's a bit of a mess, just a POC, so I don't have to really follow some kind of best practice. I'm picking up from a queue a list of attachment records. So this is a workflow that's building my work item, my RPA work item. And I can show you an example there. If I click in my merge job, this is one of the work items. Basically, file name, sysid. File name, sysid in the JSON format, because that's what RPA Hub is taking in the work queue item. So I'm getting a list, and I'm doing a bit of formatting, and then creating a temporary directory on that computer in CPDF. It's just temporary. I'm creating something there, and then basically go and download the different files. Here I'm using the get. I'm using somehow the attachment. Yeah. For each item in my list, I download the attachment, put it in that temporary file in that specific directory I created, and then I'm using that merge function there to merge those files. At the end, what I'm doing, I take the merge file and I upload it in the work queue item. Basically, I'm uploading it temporarily back to the work item because that's what the RPA is working on. It's kind of the request for the RPA. And then once I'm done doing this, I'd clear the temporary directory on that particular RPA robot. And if I go back to the overall end-to-end process, the last thing I do is I'm marking the work item as success. So from a workflow perspective, I can be aware that the robot is done, and I can actually get that file that we've merged and continue with my overall end-to-end process. So if I go in Flow Designer, see the workflow that has been built here. So the trigger doesn't really matter. It will be changed in the future, I'm guessing, triggered by the application based on whatever condition. But here we're getting the list of attachments sysid that we need to pass to the RPA queue here. So here, once we generate the list of attachments that we need to merge, we're passing this as a JSON format to the RPA robot. And then we ask the RPA robot to trigger that process. Here I've done, it's a bit of quick and dirty, and there's probably a better way to do that, but just for the sake of time, I'm just doing a loop and wait until the work item is marked as success. So I know when my robot is done doing his job, and I'm passing, I can move to the next step. The next step, I'm still waiting because I had some issues, and the robot was doing too fast to the next step, and the attachment record was not yet visible for me from a workflow perspective, so I'm just doing a little bit of a wait. And then I'm looking up this newly attachment record that is on my work queue item in RPA, and I'm moving it to the original record. So I like doing this because the work item is what the RPA robot is touching. I don't want the RPA robot to go start manipulating all kind of record in ServiceNow. We ask the robot to do a certain job. He's working out of a work item. We're passing parameter via a JSON payload to the robot, and when the robot is done, here is producing a file, a PDF file. We are attaching the file to the work item. And then in the business logic here in that flow is taking care of moving that newly created merge PDF and moving it to the here it's the check record, to the checklist record. I'm moving it there. So I think we're ready to test. I'm gonna close RPA Studio. We don't need that. We're gonna be triggering everything from the workflow. So if I click on test and I pick a control checklist, which I have open there, so we can see there's multiple files, which I don't want to open there because I don't want to display things I'm not supposed to display if I ever share that video with someone. So here I'm gonna click run test, and if we wait, we should see here this is a robot, a virtual machine on which I have an attended robot. So the virtual machine acts as a robot, and the workflow at this point is asking that machine to run the process. So in the background, you'll see an attended robot is triggered. You won't see anything scrolled down via the PDF libraries. So the file are downloaded from ServiceNow, the different files, looping over the files, merging the files, and uploading it to the work queue item, and then moving it to the original file, control file. So the robot is done. If I go to the flow, it's probably still executing, so I'm gonna click there. And I'm gonna wait, still waiting for the attachment record to be moved. And on purpose, I put a long wait, so I know it's gonna be there. So now it's completed. You can see one of the last steps I'm doing. I'm looking up that attachment from the work queue item. That's what the robot attached to the work queue item when it was done merging. And then I'm moving it. I'm moving that actual attachment record that we can open from that window. Open link in new tab. And you see the merge job is there. So that's a file that we've merged. And if we go in the particular source record that the workflow was working from, if I actually refresh that record, reload form, we should see another file coming, number 3, view file attachment, and this is a merge file. The merge file that is was created by RPA. Basically, RPA took all those files and merged those in one file. That was a use case I was asked to kind of deliver using RPA. So that's it. Just short video to explain what we've built in that particular use case. Bye.